Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Pancakes Plus, the series of videos about all things breakfast foods, with special emphasis on pancakes and French toast. And tonight, for this video, we're going to have apple butter pancakes with toasted walnuts and fried apples. Now, the thing about this that's going to take the longest is the fried apple. So we're going to start off with that. A lot of people peel their apples before they fry them, but personally I like to leave the peel on for several different reasons. Number one, it helps hold the apple together while it cooks. And number two, it makes it look better on the plate. And number three, it gives it a little more apple flavor. So if you've got one of these handy dandy little coring jobs, be sure and use it. Now one apple I'm going to cut into small pieces like so. Now here's your hack. If you're using a cutting board that doesn't have a sticky bottom, throw your clean dish towel or a tea towel down. It keeps your cutting board from slipping. I'm not going to charge you for that. But anyway, I was just telling my cameraman over there that I've had a circle beard for many, many years. That's the beard that just goes right around the mouth. And I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, I decided I'd go back to a full beard. So I did. And my wife thinks that Kenny Rogers is the best looking man that's ever been created. So when my beard finally got out, I asked her, I said, "Hey bud, does this full beard make me look like Kenny Rogers?" She looked at me a minute, she said, "Nah, more like Gabby Hayes." Right now, all the older folks are chuckling and all the younger folks are going around going, "What? Who? What? What?" All I can tell you is just Google it. All right, I've got those chopped up a little bit. We're going to leave these whole, or in slices, and there we go. Take that core. Alex, you can have this later. And make sure all the seeds and things are off of it. That one didn't turn out too good. Make sure everything's clean. Now then, over here in this little skillet we have a 1/4 cup of butter. And it's melted. So we're going to put that in there. And we've got a 1/4 cup of sugar somewhere. 1/4 cup of sugar right here. 1/4 cup of sugar. And we're going to mix this sugar in with this butter. Like them under that. These are called fried apples, but they're actually more like sauteed. If you're not really careful, they will get, if you use the wrong kind of apple especially, they'll get really mushy. Now I'm using a Gala. You could use a Gala or a Braeburn, Rome, any good baking apple. And if you try using something like a Red Delicious or a Golden Delicious, they're just so soft that they'll just turn to mush. They won't have any substance to them at all. Okay, what we're going to do now is take all this apple and carefully put them in this pan. And every so often we'll come back and stir it. Make sure everything gets in there. All we want them to do is just to get kind of soft Get a little bit of the sugar on them. A lot of people put cinnamon in fried apples, which is good most of the time, but I didn't on this because I don't want the extra cinnamon to affect the flavor of the apple butter. So that's going to be cooking just fine right there. Now, toasted walnuts. Toasted walnuts are easy. I've got a cup of crushed walnuts here, and you put them in a dry skillet. Don't put any grease in there. Put it on medium, and then every so often just flip them. And you know they're done when they get crunchy. They'll get crunchy, and you'll start smelling the odor of the nut that you're toasting, whether it be walnuts, pecans, macadamia nuts, whatever. The oils will start to be released, and you'll start getting that aroma of the nuts. So the apples are on. They'll take about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes or so. So we're going to let them cook down just a little bit, and then the nuts will be done in just a few minutes too. Now, if you're not using, if you don't need a lot, you can do them in a skillet like this. But if you need a large quantity, spread them out in one layer on a sheet pan. Put them in the oven at 350, and it takes about 8 to 10 minutes. Maybe depending on the size of the nut that you're using. Just don't over toast them, and don't so they'll taste burned. So that you don't want. Okay, so we're going to let these do their thing for just a few minutes, because I know you don't want to stand around and watch apples fry. That's less exciting than watching paint dry. So we'll be back in just a few. Okay, our apples are almost done, and the way you can tell is you take a sharp knife, stick it in there, and if it doesn't offer much resistance, then they are done. And there we go. Those are just almost. So by the time we finish with our pancakes, they should be done. Now, of course, if you don't have the time or the inclination to do your own fried apples, you can always use the commercially available. Those are good, but not like most everything else, they're not as good as homemade. All right, let's go to the pancakes now. In this bowl, I have 1 1/4 cup of white lily all-purpose flour. Emphasize white lily all-purpose flour. And to that, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of Clabber Girl baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of Arm & Hammer baking soda, and 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. Mix that all up until it's all incorporated together really well. And that's the dries for the pancakes. Now for the wets for the pancakes. We have 1 1/4 cup buttermilk, and I'm using the redneck buttermilk. The reason I say it's redneck buttermilk is because it's not cultured. Now, cultured buttermilk has a culture of bacteria, the normal bacteria that live in the gut, the lactobacillus bacteria that live in there, and the uncultured or redneck buttermilk doesn't. Some people need to replace that normal bacteria because of fever blisters, or they're on an antibiotic or whatever. This won't work for that. Heat kills the lactobacillus bacteria, so you cannot use that for that. In this cup, I have 1/4 cup of canola cooking oil. I like canola. It doesn't have that much taste to it, so it doesn't interfere with all the other flavors. 1 egg, preferably at room temperature. That goes in there. Then we mix this up together. Now the egg acts as an emulsifier to mix the oil and the milk, the watery substance of the milk, buttermilk, and the oil will mix better if there's an emulsifier, which the egg serves as the emulsifying agent. A lot of this stuff I have said in previous videos. It may be redundant to some of you, but hopefully we have new viewers every week, and I don't want them to miss out on any of the wisdom or knowledge, whichever it is. And we stir this up real good, but do not overstir. That's very important. If you stir it too much, pancakes will become tough. There will be some lumps. You can expect it. Just like in life, there's going to be some lumps. But they will all come out in the end. All right. Now we're going to let that rest for the period of time that it takes the griddle to heat. Turn the griddle on to 350. If you've got a tabletop griddle like this, that's great. If you don't, if you've got one of the 2-burner flat top griddles, you can use that. You can use a skillet. I have heard of people putting the sheet pan over both burners, 2 burners, and using that. My issue with the last two is that you're going to get hot spots. So the apples are doing well. Oh yeah, see how that knife slides right through there? Not much resistance at all. So that's almost perfect. So we're going to turn those off, let them settle down a little bit. And we're going to make some pancakes. And we will be right back. All right, our griddle is heated and our pancake batter has risen. If you'll look here, you can see some little bubbles in there, and notice how it's increased in volume. That's the baking soda and the buttermilk reacting. Now then, when we get them on the heat, the baking powder will react and make them rise up even further. So we're going to spray this little fellow with some canola cooking spray that I get at my local big box. And I use a 1/2 cup measuring cup to make these, because I like big pancakes. So we're going to put one right there, and we're going to put another one right here, and we're going to put another one right there. So those will expand a little bit, flatten out a little, and then start rising, and then we'll be ready to go. As you can see, they're beginning to bubble, and what we're looking for is for them to be dry around the edge. And there again, this is probably redundant to a lot of you, but this is going to be dry around the edge and bubbles in the middle, and that's when we flip. So we're going to wait on the dry edge and the middle bubbles, and then we'll be right back. And I believe our pancakes are just about ready to flip. You can see here they're looking dry around the edge, and I've got bubbles forming in the middle here. So we'll take our handy dandy little spatula, flip that little fellow over. Look at that. Is that not perfect? And another one. And the third one. And we'll wait on these to finish cooking. Now the way you know when they're done here, you press them right in the middle, and if they're still springy, they're not done. There's still a little bit of uncooked batter in there. They need to be firm to the touch. Soft but firm, if that's makes any sense. So those will be off in just a second. So we'll be back when they're off. And these are ready to take off. So we're going to take one of them off right here. And take it over here. And this is homemade apple butter. Now, if you don't have homemade apple butter, you can of course use the stuff you buy at the store. But as in almost everything else, when it's homemade, it's better. Just spread some on there like putting pizza sauce on a pizza. Take a few of these chopped walnuts. Sprinkle some of them on there. Don't want too many of them because we're going 3 layers. Take some of these little apple pieces. Put some of them on there along with that apple syrup that's coming off of there. And it's apples, butter, and sugar. So how can it be bad, right? And you take your next one. Take the next one off here. Layer him on there. Like that, and repeat the process with your homemade apple butter. My daughter-in-law's family gets together every year and makes apple butter. So this year she invited our families to come in, and we had a blast making apple butter all day one day. It was so much fun and so good. A few little walnuts. And a few of these little apple pieces. If you're going to do more than a couple of servings, you probably would want to do 4 apples instead of 2. And now then for the top layer. Here we go. Here's the top layer. Ooh, man, does that look good or what? And we put applesauce on here like that. Put a good bit on top. Kind of spread it out a little bit. And here again. Now this is what makes it cute. Take the little apples. Make a little pinwheel, like so. Go all around this little fella, like a little pinwheel, if I can figure out how to do it. Like a little pinwheel. Like so. There we go. That looks like a pinwheel, doesn't it? Now, what am I thinking? Oh, need some little walnuts here on the top of this. Doesn't matter if they fall off into the plate. Like that. And a little bit of whipped cream, either homemade or squirt 'em up whipped cream, as I call it. Put some whipped cream right here in the middle. Drizzle a little bit of this apple syrup over the whipped cream, if I can get it up. And there you have it. There you have it. Apple butter pancakes with toasted walnuts and apples, fried apples. And this is Butch from Pancakes Plus, asking you, if you like the video, to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, we wish you Heart of Dixie dishes from the heart of Dixie.